All right, Jared Cole, Gentry Cole, Jennifer Cole, Gene Cole.
Today I'll be giving my speech about an inventor and a man that is very close to a lot of us, Dr. James Naismith. Thank you for being with us today. What Dr. Naismith did was he created basketball back in 1891. Basketball is a big part of my life, and I know that it's touched a lot of people around here as well, as most people have either watched or seen basketball or even played basketball at some point in their life. Dr. James Naismith, he was born in Ontario, Canada in November 13th, 1861. He was an orphan actually until he was 9, and he was adopted by his uncle. He got married to Maud Sherman, and they had 5 kids together. And much later on in his life, Dr. James Naismith died in 1939 in Kansas, where he was retired into the Basketball Hall of Fame. That's just some of the history about him. So kind of going into the basketball part, and Mr. Naismith, what he's famous for was creating basketball, which he did that in Springfield, Massachusetts in 1891 at the local YMCA. Kind of the whole point of him creating basketball was so in the winter when it was too cold, because up in Massachusetts it gets way too cold to play out in the winter, instead of when the kids didn't have anything to do and they were just sitting inside playing games and not really having the opportunity to be active, he created basketball so that they would have an indoor sport. I found this information from James Lochhead, History of Basketball, and on April 16, 2014, Kansas History websites, kansheritage.org. Originally, basketball had 13 rules. As most of you know, now it has hundreds of different rules and is played and is one of the biggest sports in the world, but basketball was originally created in a gym with a soccer ball and 2 peach baskets as hoops. And the rules back then were similar to what the rules are now, but it was a much different game, played at a much different level. Some of the things that also are inspiring about Naismith are his character qualities and some of the things that go beyond basketball. He was a very selfless guy. He created the game for others and for the children there at the local YMCA, so he had nothing to gain from it. He just wanted to make others' lives better and to give them something that they could do in their spare time. Basketball blew up very fast. Within a year, it had already spread throughout the entire U.S., which is much quicker than, as you know, many things, it takes time, but for basketball it didn't. It instantly became a classic, and before he passed away, it was actually already in the Olympics. So when he created it in 1891 to 30 years later being in the Olympics, it didn't take basketball long. And I found this information, 10 Things About James Naismith, legacy.com, written in 2015. Naismith was very well-rounded. He was a family man. He cared about others. Basketball, what's funny about basketball wasn't even his favorite sport. His favorite sport was gymnastics, and that's what he actually attended most of. He loved basketball, but it's not something that he allowed to consume him either. He graduated with a degree and went on to get his PhD in the medical field, so he was, like I said, very well-rounded and had lots of different things that he did with his life. What Naismith did, and which is probably his proudest accomplishment, was making something out of nothing and pursuing the American dream. Not many people are an orphan and go on to create one of the biggest sports of all time. What he was able to do with not having anything, pulling himself up by his bootstraps, and he's kind of paves the way of what we today see as the American dream. Coming from Canada, a different country, and coming here and making himself great and doing things for others. So I want to challenge y'all as the audience is how can we make an influence like Dr. Naismith made an influence? Thank you.